Hey, welcome to Structure Fishing. I'm Jim Shell. I've got another fishing video educational report for you on my recent trip to Hamilton Lake in Arkansas. Let's get into it. Hamilton Lake, as I said, is in Arkansas. It's by Hot Springs. And here we go. I really like this hot spring area. My father has been living down here for about 10 years or so, but you have a lot of lakes in this area to fish in Hot Springs. Oop, that is not Hot Springs. Here we go. Here's Hot Springs, and you have four lakes within probably half-hour drive of Hot Springs. The first lake is Lake Washita, which is nationally known as being a great striper lake. And they also have walleye and bass in there. And then just downstream or down from the dam from Washita, you have Lake Hamilton. Lake Hamilton was built in 1932. It's a pretty old reservoir, and it's roughly 7,500 acres. And it is the only, out of the four lakes here, it is the only lake that is built up. There are homes all over the lake. So as you can guess, the lake does get quite a bit of pleasure boating. Lake Washita and Lake DeGray and Greason Lake are, I think, our Corps of Engineers Lake. You won't find any homes on there. If you're looking for a very scenic uh, place to fish, those are the lakes to go to. Uh, but let me talk about the other two real quick here. Lake DeGray, I did fish that one time. That was Memorial Day weekend, I think last year or the year before. I can't recall. But Casey and I went up there and we killed the hybrid striped bass. This lake is known for hybrid striped fishing. And first time we fished the lake, we had a ball. That video is on YouTube. Just go to my channel, look up the Gray Lake hybrids, and you'll find it if you have not seen it yet. It's a great lake. I'd like to get on there again. And the fourth lake in the area, I have not fished this lake yet, but I am looking forward to fishing it next time I go down there, is Lake Greason. I think in addition to the bass, I think it's stocked with hybrids, maybe stripers too. I'm not sure. I haven't really researched it yet because I have not fished it. But let's get back to Lake Hamilton. This is the second time in the summer that I fished the lake. The very first time I ever fished the lake was in 2016, 4th of July weekend. Casey and I went on it. We only had less than half a day to fish. And I just looked at the map and I thought, okay, this is a pretty interesting area here. Boat ramp right here. On that weekend, we went out of this boat ramp and we went to the first structure we saw, which is right here. And we got lucky. I'll admit that. When we got on the water on that trip 3 years ago, excuse me, the fish were moving. And in about 30, 40 minutes, we boated three walleyes. There's a picture I'll put up for you. And several largemouth bass. But we boated those three walleyes on that trip back 4th of July. I think that was 2016. And I did fish the lake one other time in the fall, trying to get crappies. Really didn't catch anything on that trip. But I was just down there this past weekend, and this is the second time I fished the lake in the summer. And I launched out of the hatchery here. But let me talk about the lake here real quick. Like I said, it's about 7,500 acres roughly, built in 1932. The deepest water is going to be down by the dam. You've got just over 100 feet. According to the Navionics map here, it's 102 feet. And for those of you that follow Buck Perry's teaching, like I do, this is a reservoir, a man-made lake, and we probably classify this as a lowland #1 lake, which means that it's has some highland features to it, and you'll find humps. You'll find that most of the bars go to the channel, and Buck says you'll find just about every kind of structure situation in this lake, and typically you'll have okay watercolor as well. And this past trip, I would say it was a light yellow-green. I seem to recall when I fished it 3 years ago, it was more of a medium yellow-green. But it did seem a little bit clearer than last time I fished it, but it's still a light yellow-green lake. Now the next thing I'm going to mention here, and I believe this happened 3 years ago when I fished it as well as this past weekend. This lake seems to have a moss condition on the bottoms. In some areas it's pretty bad. I got a picture of a spoon plug you can see there. And once it gets in that moss, it's going to come to the top and you're going to have to clear it. And that stuff smells and it's pretty hard to get off your lures. But you do have a moss situation here. Don't know what causes it or, how common it is on a lake, but the areas I was fishing, most of the structures had this moss situation. So I had to run my lures just above this moss, and still I was ticking every now and then pulling up moss. But there is a moss situation out there. Um, now, I this is another trip that every time you go fishing, you need to learn something here. And this trip was about speed control once again. Um, I started fishing. I checked these structures really quick, didn't get any fish, and I went out into the main area here, some deeper structures, which those didn't really, couple small bass, nothing really to speak of. Came back over here and fished. Well, let me just zoom in over here. I was fishing primarily these two bodies of water, or areas of the lake, I should say. And let me clear something up because you've got, as we said, you got about 100 feet in the main channel down by the dam, and I think it's about 70 feet by the time you get over here. But the home of the fish is in the deepest water in the area that you're fishing, not the deepest water in the lake. So if I'm fishing this area over here and over here, the home of the fish is going to be the deepest water in this area, which is about 40 feet in this basin here and around 30, 35 feet in this area here. So that's the home of the fish. So fishing these areas here, the depths are more reachable. And as you can see, looking at the Navionics map here, we have a lot of structure situations, as Buck would say. Um, and once again, what I learned on this trip, I had a few bass, but I was just coming off of a bar and I goosed it to turn around. And when I goosed it at fast speed, a bass hit, and I thought, maybe I wasn't going fast enough. I would say my average summertime speed is probably 3 to 4 miles an hour. And that's what I was doing. When I goosed going off that bar and had fish hit, I was probably going 5.5 to 6 miles an hour. So I thought, wow, it's speed control. So once I revved it up and went a little faster, I was catching a lot of fish, a lot of bass, and then I started catching walleyes. And you'll see on the video here too, when I goosed it to come off the bar, you can see that I was probably going a good 6 miles an hour when I caught the first walleye on the trip, and you'll see that footage at the end over here. But let's talk about the structures over here. Once again, I launched over here the hatchery boat ramp right over here, and when I went on that trip the first time 3 years ago, I think I shot out over here and I started working this brake line here and this brake line here, and we got walleyes and bass over there. So and 3 years later it's the same thing. I got, and you'll see in the video here, the biggest walleye came right at the end of this bar over here, and we also got into a school of bass, not very big bass, but prior to the walleyes moving up in that bar, or the previous 3, 4, 5 passes on that bar, we caught largemouth. We actually had a double count going off the thing here. They weren't very big fish. They were maybe 14 to 17 inches, but we must have caught, oh gosh, 7, 8, and then the walleyes moved up on it, and we got lost a fish, which I think was a walleye. My dad lost, and then on the next pass I got the biggest walleye of the trip, which was a 25-incher. But anyway, right here we got fish. We were catching fish scattered along here and over here. Most of the fish did come at the end over here. And over here, right at the corner over here, I got one of the other walleyes. And so this area here was very productive. And also over here, you've got a hump here. You almost have like a saddle situation. You got a hump on each side here. And I was catching mostly largemouth bass on this side, and I got a couple other walleyes on this side. But you've got some, as you can see from the map here, once again, as Buck says, you got a great structure situations over here. And I really didn't spend much time working this other stuff here, but I'm sure I was catching fish here, here, and over here. I did fish this, didn't really get much, but I did not check out any of this over here or back over here or this over here. I didn't spend any time. I was just going where I was catching fish here and here, and that was enough to keep me busy for quite some time there. So um, it was a really good trip. And once again, just if anyone goes out there, you got to. That's why a spoon plug was the right tool for this job here. Because with the moss condition, I needed to control my depth and speed really good to get these fish going. And because I didn't, with the depth control, spoon plug was a perfect tool because I had to stay right above that moss, but as close as I could to that moss without getting fouled all the time. And that spoon plug was the tool that I used to give me that exact depth control and also the speed control. As I said, 6 miles an hour. What other lure could you have used out here that would give you that exact depth of speed control? Spoon plug, hands down. And you'll see in the video here, every fish we caught, bass and walleyes, all came on that 200 series spoon plug. Break lines in all these areas I was fishing was roughly 12 to 14, 15 feet. So I was using a 200 series spoon plug on braid, fairly short line, 80, 90 feet. I was probably running 12, 13 feet maybe with that. But it was a great trip and really enjoyed getting out there on the water with my father. Haven't had him in the boat in a very long time, maybe 20 years or so. But really good trip. Here's the video of us catching the fish. Thanks for watching. I had a small white bass on earlier. But if it's like a side feeder cut that comes in here, and you got a good break line on each side of the channel. He took the spoon plug. An adult fish. About 16 inches, I'm guessing. Got a walleye, and I found out it's a fast speed. I started goosing it, and I got a couple of largies fast speed, and then I really goosed it, and this guy hit. So you always got to check your speed control. And I was going what I call a summertime speed, but slow slide summertime speed. But they want a fast speed today, so I'm goosing it up. Let's get some more. Nicer fish. They came off the bar. It's a walleye. It's going to be a nice one. Not jumping, so I'm hoping to keep my fingers crossed it's alive. two. Awesome. Awesome. Let me get him out. See, it looks like a twin of the first one. That's a nice 18, 19 incher. Sweet. Let's get some more. Get a quick measure. Yeah, it's just over 19. Nicer than the ones I caught yesterday. This guy, I bet he's a good 3-pounder. Out there, big old mouth. Oh no! He jumped again. Did you see it? Clear water today. Not bad. That's how they, most of the time, that's how they get right in the side. Right in that bass mat. He's probably 18. Well, I got there, but I don't want to fish him. I don't want to keep him. Nice bass. Yeah. Camera running? Yeah. Yeah, it's on camera. That was in the fall. Red Sea, or you just Pop's got a nice walleye. Look at that. Sweet. I got one reeling in. I got one. We got a double. Oh, mine just shook off. About 16. Oh, I don't care. It's probably about 16. Probably about 2 pounds. If we had a double, mine fell off. I feel that. spots are more little pronounced black spots there. Yeah, it's a spotted bass. Not jumping, maybe it's a walleye. Just as I came across that point, oh, it's taking a run on me now. Oh, is that a white bass? No, no, is that a big walleye? Oh, it's swelling. That guy. Oh yeah! Oh, it just came out. Yeah! Another nice walleye. Yeah, nice fish though. I mean, these are good eaters. Show the camera. Nice, another nice fish. Came off the same spot. We got those, actually 3 largemouth on. Right off the end of a bar. Gonna go back and make another pass. Oh yeah. Nice one, hooked up. Yeah, it's a nice one. It's got some weight to it. If it's a bass or a walleye, it's going to be a nice one. Coming off the end of this point. Dad just lost one on the previous pass. Daddy said it was a nice fish. Whoa, whoa. Takes a little run. He stayed down. I don't think it's a bass because he would have jumped. Nice one. Oh, that's just a nice one. Yeah! Yeah! Oh my God, this thing is, oh, this looks like about a 6-pounder. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. On a 200 spoon plug. Sweet. Oh, beautiful fish, man. Beautiful fish. This is probably the one, you probably lost one just like this. Awesome. Oh yeah, he got that treble in there good. Yeah, that, oh. Awesome fish. Look at this one. This thing has got to be about 5-6 pounds. Beautiful Hamilton Lake walleye. Dad just lost one on the previous pass that was probably the same size fish. I think they're moving. Let's go back and get some more.